Welcome to the Voodoo Power Podcast. Welcome to Plates and Pancakes. We're sitting down today with Dr. Pat Ivey. Dr. Ivey is the Senior Athletic Director for Health and Performance at the University of Louisville, where he's been since 2019. Prior to Louisville, Ivey was at Arkansas State, where he was the Assistant Athletic Director of Athletic Performance and worked as Associate Director of Athletic Performance, Director of Mental Performance. Dr. Ivey was at the University of Missouri and the University of Tulsa. Ivey has a doctorate of sports psychology, a master of education in health education, and a bachelor of science in hotel and restaurant management from the University of Missouri. Dr. Ivey has spent over 20 years working in his strength and conditioning coaching career, and now is finding a home being part of both coaching and administration at the University of Louisville. A lifelong coach, Dr. Ivey will always derive satisfaction of helping those around him reach their optimum levels of performance. After earning his doctorate, Ivey was able to put structure to his mental performance teachings in a series called Mental Conditioning, which he continues to use with all of his athletes. So welcome to the show, Coach.
Appreciate it. I'm looking forward to this. I hope you can hear me well, and going to get my do not disturb on for this meeting, and so we can quit getting the dings. All right, I'm good now.
Well, I appreciate this. It's been something I've looked forward to for the last couple of weeks since we set it up.
Well, that's the hard part. I mean, busy people having schedules, making it, you got to sacrifice, you got to find some time to have a great communication. I think this is what it's all about. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, once I dug into your stuff, so first of all, I'm from South Kansas City, so I watched Missouri go through just some incredible years while you were there. And so there was always that connection with the University of Missouri being from a home state. And I've started looking into your stuff further once I started meeting some of the coaches that were in your tree and just seeing how amazing of a staff you built. And the stuff I found was just unbelievable. The stuff you talk about is so much more than just the weights and the reps and the sets, but it's of overall wellness of an athlete, I would say. What started driving you to the direction of, hey, we can program all the weights we want, but at the end of the day, we have to create a well-rounded athlete?
Well, the truth is every school has a weight room. Every school had a strength coach. Every 45-pound plate weighed 45 pounds. Every bar weighed 45 pounds, unless you got a specialty bar. We can talk about that too. But all of those things were the same. You have water fountains, and you got music being played, and you got coaches yelling out sets and reps, and you got athletes cheering each other on, and it's all the same. All of that is the same. Most of that is the same. As long as your athletes are showing up, you're probably getting them better some kind of way. So what does it take to get to the next level, though? And for me, that's what it was always about. It was all about championships, winning, like being the best version that you can be, finding a way to do better than you did last year, challenging everybody. If you have athletes that can get to the next level, what are you doing to help them get to the next level? If you have a team that can make mistakes and then forget those mistakes and then go on to make a play, why not explore that? If you have athletes that maybe they're getting shoulder injuries, but you can find something in your program, your prehab, rehab, or bringing in physical therapists, doing corrective biomechanics, maybe there's an edge there. Maybe even we found an edge of putting on lean muscle mass in season. We had an awesome program, dietitian, a DEXA in the weight room. That gives you an advantage. You start stacking up those advantages, and then next thing you know, you're in the championship games because you created champions. And for me, that's what it was always about. It was always about surrounding myself with the best people, the smartest coaches. You read my background, hotel and restaurant management, a master's in health education, curriculum and instruction. I mean, that doesn't have anything really to do with sets and reps. I took a few nutrition classes, a few cooking classes, but being a strength and conditioning coach, I had to read. I had to surround myself with the smartest people I could find and with the biggest hearts, the biggest brains, and that were team players and cared about developing something and building something just as much as they cared about themselves. And for me, that's what it was all about.
I can go a ton of different ways with that because you covered so much territory, but the first question out of the box was going to be fractional advantages and how important the small changes are, which you kind of hit on those. But what do you see that starts moving the needle? What come into your line of sight and you're like, hey, this is fractional, but it's going to get bigger. It's going to multiply. It's going to be awesome if we can just start hitting this.
If I go back to, wow, when I first started coaching, definitely it was about strength. How can we get this team stronger? Eventually, you know, taking over a few different programs, you have to understand what was done before you. What were the strengths that were done? Don't really care about the weaknesses, but what were the strengths? Because if you understand what happened before you when you take over a program, then it's easy to build on that and say, okay, well, that's already established. I don't really need to go too much further in that area. Let me explore some other areas that some other traits that some other characteristics that other forms of athleticism that we can develop. So starting with the posterior chain, if you realize that, wow, we strong upper body, core strength is pretty good. Um, but posterior chain, we need to do a little bit more development. Then focus on that. Get the team as strong as you can with the posterior chain, hamstrings, low back, glutes, upper back, low back. Even finding a machine. When we first got the reverse hyper, we went to Westside Barbell as a staff. Went to Westside Barbell, tried the reverse hyper machine. It's like, we do have a few low back issues every now and then. Maybe this can help. Sure enough, one of our wide receivers who was having chronic low back pain, when we bought that reverse hyper machine, put him on that machine, sure enough, he could barely move 50 pounds, 225s with good form. And we had other athletes that could move 245s or eventually 245s on each side. Like you start analyzing what's in your program. Okay, well, we got a few shoulder injuries going on. Well, Andrew Paul, who was on staff, said, hey, I'm going to go back to school, take some classes, learn about the shoulder. Well, he ends up getting a doctorate in physical therapy. Okay, well, he has us as a staff in the cadaver lab learning about looking and seeing what a nerve looks like in a cadaver, looking and seeing what the rotator cuff muscles look like inside. So understanding it from the inside out. I went to our team surgeon and said I would love to attend some surgeries. So I attended an ACL surgery, shoulder surgery, AC separation surgery, like rotator cuff. Like I attended those surgeries to understand from the inside out. At the same time, building that relationship with our team physician, like, okay, this is how I train them. This is what I want to be able to do. What are some limitations you see from that? So, being able to create this culture and environment where you're learning, growing, challenging each other, challenging yourself to find answers. And that's for me, it was all about what kind of questions can we create and find so that we can find better answers to find better questions.
You've kind of paved your own road and you've created a field that wasn't necessarily there before you decided to really pursue it. We'll get into that in a second, but on that path, on the road to where you are now, what were some aha moments in life where a light bulb went off and instantly your thought process was changed?
Wow, that is a really, really good question. It's, I would say one of the earlier aha moments was nutrition. And you're thinking about how you can purchase supplements to help your athletes optimize their performance. And we got to the point where, okay, yeah, it's about protein, carbs, good healthy fats, but something may be overlooked more than anything is the importance of water. Like if we look at the percentage of the body that's water, and you can look at intracellular and you can look at all of that stuff, but we know dehydration is not good. And we know a large portion of the muscle is water. Large portion of the body in itself, organs and things like that are water. What if we just made water bottles mandatory in the weight room? What would happen? What would happen if we did that? And we found that in season, our guys are maintaining weight. off season, they're hitting their goals. If we can create this culture that you stay hydrated and you're not allowed to even be in the weight room without a water bottle, like we would have water bottle checks, seal the doors, coaches, seal the doors, turn the music off, blow your whistle, water bottle check. Every player, hold up your water bottle. If you don't have one, meet me over in the corner and we're going to talk about it. And that's a culture that when you see our athletes and you saw my players on campus, my wife, who's a professor, she's like, I can always tell when it's one of your football players on campus because they're carrying a big jug around. Right. That is the culture. That is developing habits. That is we always wanted to, okay, there's research out there, there's this, but what about practical application? Like, how can we get them? So for me, water, hydration, that was a aha moment. Uh, if we talk about mobility and core strength, there are some ideas that we were able to develop and figure out, okay, if we want to develop more power, and we're not allowed to let any of our athletes plateau. The head football coach, Gary Pinkel, demanded that there was constant progress throughout an athlete's tenure. An athlete plateauing was not an option. Like it was not like for me to keep my job, our team could not plateau. So we had to come up with the system. How are they going to progress over time? So that's when we created the level system. They come in, okay, we need to teach them technique. Well, eventually found that's not good enough. We need to make sure they can just move their bodies. If they can move their bodies, we can teach them technique with a bar in their hands. If they can master technique, then we can load the bar, get them stronger. If they can move the bar faster, then we can develop power. If we can develop specific strengths, then we can maybe let's take a look at velocity based training and develop these different strengths. Maybe there's force absorption at this point because we're producing so much force. Maybe we need to focus on the brakes because the brakes and the shocks are just as important as the engine and the transmission. We discovered that we better spend some time doing that, or else we're going to produce athletes that are so powerful that their bodies won't be able to absorb the forces they're producing. So there are a lot of aha moments in what I just shared along the way, but it came from us challenging each other and being challenged that we had to hit certain benchmarks for personal records or so many people that can run so fast in certain categories or jump so high or be so quick in agility. Like there was no hiding in our program. You had to produce results.
So with saying that, you had a coach that really wanted to see the progression get driven. You had to build a staff, and as from a leadership standpoint, your head's the one on the block. Your neck's the one exposed. So you've built a staff, and I've talked to Keith Caton. I've listened to a ton of Brian Mann stuff. I listened to a podcast with you and Kaz the other day that was an old Summer Strong that was just amazing. But you had to entrust these guys, but you're the one that's in the line of fire. How were you able to give them autonomy, give them room to work to try to find a progression without getting in their way?
You know, the first person I have to mention is Josh Stoner um, and Rusty Burney. Those were my two assistants at Tulsa. And Josh ended up coming back with me immediately. And Rusty Burney took a path, and eventually got to Missouri, became our director of Olympic sports. But the character of those two set a foundation for hard work, being smart, being a great team player, developing great relationships with athletes, communication off the charts, and just great practitioners. Like setting that would became a foundation for me is these are the types of coaches I want to have around. So when I left Tulsa and went back to Missouri, asked Josh Stone, I said, hey, do you want to go with me? He said, let's go. When I got back to Missouri because I was an assistant there. When I got back there, Scott Bird was on staff. Scott Bird and I talk probably every day. Still, he's doing some amazing things with Tennessee football on their mental performance side, and he's doing some things with Logan University as the internship coordinator now. Uh, Antoine Floyd was an assistant there. Shannon Turley was on staff there. So those were my assistants when I got back to University of Missouri. Bill Heumann was on staff as well. We still talk. He works for he's the strength coordinator for Oxfit now, doing some amazing things with that company. And the three interns that we brought in was Kaz Kazadi, Dr. Brian Mann, who was an intern for us at Tulsa, impressed us, obviously. You can see that. And then Jana Heitmeyer, who's the director of sports nutrition, University of Georgia now. Those were the three interns on top of those staff members that became the foundation for what was to come and to us and for us to keep hiring those types of coaches that were like smart, hardworking, like the internship program that we had was second to none. And we took a lot from Ron McKeefery and other people that did an amazing job with their intern program because we all shared things. We shared information. The internship program that we had, I can't tell you how many interns we've had that went on to become great assistants, directors, or even out of the profession doing something fantastic. So it was about those type of people that would push themselves every day to be the best versions of themselves. Uh, and now I could go on and on about, I would forget so many more than I can name.
You create something like that, yes, and you just kind of watch it all fall together and you watch guys chase down different rabbit holes and then you find a way to be either supportive in that direction and or say, okay, I don't know that we're quite ready for that. Was that kind of tough to navigate sometimes with all the different ideas getting shot at you?
No, no. And I'll tell you why. So I said level one was about general GPP, general physical preparation. Level one was about teaching technique. Level two is strength, and three and four. Level five was our NFL guys. So NFL training program. So our NFL combine program. But there was a level six, and level six is what we as coaches were doing before it ever got into the program. And then there was level seven, which was the craziest things we could ever hear that we were scared to try. But one day we would do a little bit more research, and eventually that would get into level six, which is what the coaches, what we were doing. So bands and chains and man, the things that we were doing as a staff, we were challenge each other every day. Working with Jay Schrader, going up to visit him. He's the one who's famous for training Adam Archuleta. He came and spent 2 full days with us at University of Missouri and learning the isometrics that he taught us. Um, it goes on and on about how long. I mean, it would be years of us doing something, training with the ARP machine. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Hooking up your hamstrings to this electrical device while you're bench pressing. Like we were out there hooking it up to your biceps while you're squatting. Like we were out there as a staff. So before it ever went into the program, we knew exactly the results we were going to get. So it wasn't hard. If you got an idea, that's fine. We're going to do it. Like you're going to figure it out. You got a crazy idea. We want to see you do it first. All right. Now, okay, we'll do it. We like it. Then it goes into the program and we do it with our athletes. I don't know how much that's happening today.
That's a huge risk for sure, but you guys were willing to try it and willing to see how it affected you. And that's a pretty good indication of how it would probably affect your athletes.
I would say so. I mean, we were young enough and young and dumb enough to try all that kind of stuff. And I mean, we blew a few things out too. Like, oh, maybe we should not do that. I mean, it wasn't all pretty. I mean, there was some strains and pulls and tears and surgeries as a staff. That sounds crazy, but that's how we learned. We weren't willing to try stuff on our athletes first. We wanted to try it on ourselves first, and we learned a lot through it, doing it that way.
What I've researched on you and what I've just heard you talk about your staff, you found a way to get self-determined and self-motivated people around you. Is that a trait you're born with, or is that a trait that's cultivated over time?
In general, me or some or anyone in general.
In general, so like as we've worked through this, we see guys that are and girls that are willing to get up early in the morning and go chase their dreams, and then you see some other people that may not quite be so self-directed. Uh,
Right.
can that be cultivated into a person, or is that something that God give you from the time you were born?
No, it can be cultivated. But if you have a lot of people that are externally and extrinsically motivated, that becomes your culture. So if you have a lot of people that are intrinsically motivated, then that's your culture. So if you bring someone into that culture, they've got examples of what it looks like for someone who, because intrinsic motivation is basically someone who knows what they're doing. They got a relationship and meaning to what they're doing, and they have the ability to choose and have some decision in that process. Uh, there's a lot that I did to make sure that we had a lot of autonomy. So each coach were a different coach was responsible for each level. So if you're a level two coach, then we would go through as a staff and program, but you're the one who's responsible for the week to week, day to day operations of those athletes in that level. Now, me, it's my responsibility overall, but I have to make sure I have coaches that are, if level two requires you doing the same thing, I need a task oriented, almost drill sergeant working with level two. If I have a coach who is a little bit more laid back and is can really see things with their eyes and direct things with their body language, then you can be level three and four. So if it's dealing with the freshmen, I need somebody that's like a teacher almost. I need that teacher, the Andrew Paul, that is going to be so attention to detail oriented on the shrug, on a clean and hand placement and foot placement. So I would match up the skills and traits of a coach with the assignment that and who they were assigned to. Like I think that is something that if you can master that, then and you might learn. You're going to have to learn from your athletes too. Jana Heitmeyer, putting her with the O lineman was the best combination. Putting her with the D lineman would be the worst combination because the O lineman, when she said do something, they did it. With the defensive lineman, she didn't have that command, that respect with them. And so why do it? Put him with the person maybe has the most experience. Put Scott Bird on the D line. So that's knowing a coach's skill set, personality, uh, where you can get the best results. That's what being a director is all about.
That's something I argue with guys all the time. You're trying to find the work for the worker that matches their personality and their trait. And then you always have somebody says, well, they make the same money. They can all do this. They can all do it. No, they can't. That's just not how it is. They may not like it. They may not want to. It may not pique their interest. And it just may not be a fit for the way their brain works. So yes, figuring out where your coaches are best utilized is going to make you look better and everybody be a cohesive unit.
Absolutely. And I think that's where you have to pour into your staff. That's what staff development is about too. Uh, Making sure that they have what they need individually to be the best version of themselves.
We'd kind of touched on it in a roundabout way, but I thought this was interesting because we all fall into this trap. It's easy just to talk to athletes about athletic stuff. It never gets past that surface of just what's right in front of you, the weight room, the game on Saturday, practices, whatever. But how are you able to create meaningful conversations with athletes that gets past past the sport and more into the human?
You have to be that yourself. You got to be human yourself. You have to be vulnerable yourself. You have to let them know you're learning and growing as a coach. Like, I'm here to get better every day. You're here to get better every day. You're here to get stronger every day. So am I. I can't be the same coach I was yesterday. Now, you need me. Guess what? I need you. I need you so I can be the best version of me. And as coaches, we're going to challenge each other. And I want you all to pay attention to how we communicate and the respect we have for each other. We will be examples for you. So it's all around, it's 360 degrees around you. I've had athletes tell me, Coach, I'm really proud of you. Like, okay, that when you got that kind of relationship, why? Why would that athlete say they were proud of me? They're proud of my growth. Like, having that kind of relationship with your athletes makes them feel that it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to learn and grow. It's okay to have a growth mindset. These things are important because on the field, on the court, in the pool, that's what we want. We want them, if they make a mistake, they park it, they refocus, they get on to the next thing. It doesn't define them. Well, guess what? As a coach, you have to be that way too. I've had to apologize to the whole team for something I did because I learned a better way to do it. And then tell them, hold me accountable because I can't go back because that was my routine. And for me, that was natural for me to do that or to say that. And for us to get to where we want to get to, and for you all to build the confidence in yourselves, I can't do that. So hold me accountable. No coach is going to do that on staff. We're working together. Everybody understand? Yes, coach. All right, cool. Everybody on the line, let's go. Like, having that level of confidence is important because we want the athletes to have that level of confidence.
To take that a little bit deeper, I've thought about this a lot. You're never a prophet in your hometown. You get labeled a certain thing. That's what you are from the time you show interest in it to the time you die. There's in people's minds there's never room for growth from what they have you labeled at. But athletes, they get caught in that trap. People label them as a football player. People label them as a basketball player. Well, that's not going to last forever, and their identity's wrapped up into this. So you can start seeing the end of it coming for some of these guys, some of these girls. How are you able to help navigate them into the rest of their life?
You have to start at the beginning with that and ask them the question, what do you want to do when you are done with your playing career? Whatever your career is, if you're playing 10 years in the league and professionally and you're going overseas or whatever, that's fine. But how old will you be when that happens? Like, if you graduate from college and you're 22 and you have a 10-year career, you're going to be 32. What are you going to do for the next 30 years after that? Because doing nothing is not an option. So if you can begin with the end in mind, then maybe we can look at what curriculum you're taking, the classes you're taking. We can look at the degree that you're pursuing, certifications. Maybe we can look at the internship opportunities you have, making sure you get connected with the right alumni in the program. If we can do that, then okay, ball is going to take care of itself. That's why you're here. You could have gone somewhere else, but you came here because of ball. So let's make sure we take care of all of the other things that are going to take care of you once ball is over. And they buy into that. It makes sense. Now, for some of them, they haven't thought about it, and they need some time to think about it. You just got to come back around. Say, okay, I know we had that conversation a few weeks ago, but have you thought about what you want to do when you're done playing ball? For me, I'm a coach. I'm a coach. I was done playing ball. Guess what? I went into coaching. It's been fun. It's been a thrill. I get to pour into you. I get to share with you my mistakes that I made and my victories and things for me, that I find purpose in my passion and being in the weight room, teaching you life skills using weights. Like, for me, that's what it's about. What is it for you? And I think when you approach it that way, the level of respect that they have, because they need to see the older version of themselves. Someone told me that a long time ago. If you really want to make the most impact you can on young people, help them to see the older version of themselves. And if you can, I say, where are you in 20 years? Where are you in 30 years? What are you doing when once you're done playing ball? What are you doing? And if you can do that, that helps them with that identity and say, okay, I'm not just a basketball player, football player, baseball player, swimmer, diver. I'm not just that. That's something that I do because that's what I want to do and I'm able to do it. But there are other things that I can do and I want to do. And you want to be in position to be able to do that.
Now, I've heard you talk about that before. Start with the end in mind. And then you're talking a little bit there about like a paradigm shift. So obviously, 7 habits of highly effective people is rubbed off on you somewhere along the way. We teach a class at work, Stephen Covey's class, and it's actually very, very good. And obviously, you've been able to put it to work in your life.
I think that's one of the things that we were challenged. We challenged each other with. We read books as a staff. We were challenged by our athletics director, Mike Alden. I've had some really good athletic directors over my career that were really good leaders. And Mike Alden would always have a book that he would pass out to senior staff. Whatever book he passed out to senior staff, we bought that same book for every staff member in the weight room on the strength and conditioning staff. And then we were reading that book while the athletic department leadership was reading that book. And now you're developing leaders in the athletics department, but you're also developing leaders in the weight room. And that's something our athletics director really pushed and he promoted it and he supported it. And I think it's important to do those professional development type opportunities.
Kind of talking on what you were talking about there. I noticed it worse at the high school level because I haven't spent much time at the college level, but the high school level definitely is athletes seem to not accept responsibility for their own direction and their own ideas about what they want to do. They let someone else kind of direct them and push them one way or the other, and they never step up and then just really own their development. How do you get guys that are in that situation to take more of a forward thinking role and become more in charge of their direction?
I mean, goal setting is important. We would every off season, every summer, we would sit down with every player and go through their goals. And eventually we learned that wow, we need to do a little bit more than goals in the weight room. Like I want to increase my bench press by 25 pounds. I mean, we've eventually learned that maybe if they get more sleep, those things will happen. Maybe if they put less bad things in their bodies, they get closer to those goals. Uh, Maybe if they have a character goal along with one of those physical goals, maybe they get to the physical goal because of the decision making that they now have. And I think one of the things we have really advanced in is helping those with whatever mindset they have. And so that's where mental performance comes in. Mental performance is the weight room for the mind. So if you have a sports psychologist, mental performance specialist, that's what they do. They help to strengthen the mind. The endurance, mental endurance, psychological, emotional endurance, emotional strength, emotional flexibility, uh, psychological resilience, emotional resilience. Like those things are there's the traits that we develop in the weight room physically. Mental performance specialists develop the traits mentally. And just as important as the weight room is to get bigger, faster, stronger, quicker, meeting with or having exposure to a mental performance specialist does that for the mind. That's on the performance side. And then there's on the health side, there's the training room where, hey, you've got sore hamstring, rolled your ankle, an alignment issue, maybe you need to see a chiropractor, things like that. You go in there, you post-op, your surgery or whatever, you go in the training room. Well, on the mental side is the mental health therapist that can help you to heal what's broken, out of alignment on the mental side. So helping an athlete have exposure to all of these things might help them to get to their goals faster. Maybe there's something that's happened in their past that is a roadblock for them physically because they haven't dealt with it. But if you can have the right people, it's the same thing. It's like I'm trying to get faster, but my ankle's swollen. That's not going to happen. Like you need to take care of the swollen ankle so that you can actually put more force into the ground to propel you forward so that you can get to the finish line faster. There's the same thing on the mental side. Like if I have a source, like something's swollen, it's out of alignment, something's off, it's really hard to be confident, to have to concentrate, to dominate my opponent and forget the bad play I just had. Like if I don't address some of these issues, it's hard to get to that end of the spectrum where I'm out here dominating.
Now, talking about that, talking about the mental side, a lot of these athletes coming in, they're kids in giant bodies. They're 18 years old, 19 years old. Even when they graduate, they're only 22, 23 years old. They're still kids. So you're trying to develop this in a mind that's still developing and allowing them room to grow. And you're kind of watching how they're growing. How do you kind of navigate that through some of the mistakes they find themselves in?
I mean, you care about them as people first. You have to care about the student, the person before you care about the athlete. You have to. The challenge is, do you have the skills to deal with it and help them? As a strength and conditioning coach, if you don't understand techniques of Olympic lifts, the power movements, and you don't know that, you don't understand velocity-based training, you you don't understand breathing, you don't know how to teach that. How are you going to help someone to get better if you don't have the skills in these other areas or the people around you that do have the skills and the access to to make a difference? Then how, what are we doing? What are we doing? And I think too many times we have not put the right systems in place. We have not hired the right people and let them do their thing. Too many times we just want to do what we've always done, not grow, not adapt, not look for answers, and stay within our comfort zone. Like we got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. I know everyone has heard that, but how do you do it? How do you challenge yourself? How do you allow yourself to be challenged without your ego getting bruised, without your insecurities putting up these barriers so that you can't to get better?
That was a question I had. I'll adapt it a little bit to encompass what you just said, but material things come and go. Ego, that gets in the way. How do you get past some of these mental blocks that we have as coaches trying to direct young athletes? How do we get past those to find what drives us passionately, that we're not looking at the results? We're just trying to help what's in front of us.
I have a friend who told me, he said, if you're not working on your stuff is working on you. So if we're not dealing with our own issues as coaches, those things are going to come back up. If you have issues of respect, if you have issues of anger, things like that, they're going to resurface because once you're emotionally depleted, which doesn't take long, a couple weeks after vacation and you're in training camp, you're emotionally depleted. Like you are going to lean on some old habits that may not be productive. They might be counterproductive. So we have to work on ourselves first. Like you have to be the best version of yourself as a coach if you're going to make the impact you can make on the athletes that you're working with. Like you have to take time for yourself. You have to prioritize self-care. You have to, in my opinion, one of the things that we always did is, hey, everyone needs to have a hobby on staff. Your hobby is not lifting weights on your break. You need to have something that can take your mind off of this thing because it is going to demand everything from you. It's going to take everything from you. So, how are you going to put back into yourself? How are you going to find something that can rejuvenate you so that you can keep doing it at the highest level? And I think for me that was I always look to try to do something new and different and have different experiences. And the first time I went hunting was with one of my athletes, and I'd never been before, and I thought, wow, let me try to experience what this is, and that led to other trying other things. So I think it's important you have to find a way to be the best version of yourself every day and keep getting better. You want that for the athletes. We have to do that as coaches. So going back to school, coach education programs and certificates, reading, talking to other coaches, going to conferences, taking staff trips. One of the things that we did as a staff before, if we were going to conference, I don't know if we ever flew to a conference, and I don't care if it was in Salt Lake City. We got in vans and we drove, and it was the younger staff. It was their responsibility to figure out what we were going to do along the way. I've made enough decisions as the director. You all find what are we doing, plan it out. Who are we going to visit? If you need me to make a connection, an intro, I can do that. But it's important to get in the van and eventually we were in two vans going all across the country. We would take off 2 or 3 days before the conference and hit different gyms, hit different weight rooms, visit different coaches, pro organizations, other colleges. Uh, that's what we did. And in the meantime, we were taking notes on what we were learning and debriefing along the way. Okay, what did we learn? What can we try? What should we not try? Those things that has to be something that's ingrained, and it starts with the leader.
Kind of what you were talking about. It's easy to get overwhelmed. It wears off pretty quick after vacation, and you become a drowning victim. And what happens is if the people around you don't know how to save a drowning victim, you'll drown them too. So you have to have people around that know what they're doing to get you out of that rut.
One of the things that I remember Josh Stoner told me, he said, "Hey, sometimes we need you to be the first person to leave work." And I was like, "Wow, okay." I said, "I might need some help with that." I just won't feel good about being the first person that leaves. He said, "Sometimes you need to be the first person to leave." And I remembered that. And there are times we would get out of practice, I hurry up and get to the dining hall, get my plate, and get out. But it was good because the staff needed to see that it was okay to not be there all day, all night. Like they needed to see that it was okay that I had a family that I needed to get home to. Like they needed to see that and they needed to feel that. But to have a relationship with an assistant is gold. Like you can't put a price on that, on someone that can look at your weaknesses and help you to deal with those things.
There was a podcast I had listened to, and I don't know if I think you were a guest, and you were talking about I think you were going for your doctorate and you started talking about confidence. And then this is me ad libbing a little bit, but confidence is a lot like a carousel. It goes up and down and it's circular and it's always moving, always changing. And we do really good at being able to list all the things that kill confidence, but we're horrible at listing things that build confidence. That to me, that was when I come up with the aha moment question. It would seem like when you were talking about it, like that really resonated with you immediately. But once that kind of hit, how are you able to start building confidence and make your list of what to do to build confidence bigger than your list of how to destroy confidence?
It takes some thought. It takes a lot of effort. It might take other people. I remember that exercise in class. It took the whole class to figure out, what are the things that destroy confidence? What are the things that build confidence? And it wasn't, hey, don't yell. Okay, don't yell. That's not a coaching cue. What should you do? Like, don't yell is not it. That's what should you do? You should speak clearly with authority, with the right level of volume and tone, using the right words, directing it at the right people at the right time. Like, that's what it is. And so you have to, well, those are skills, and skills have to be practiced. And then when you repeat them enough, they become routine. So if you want to talk to people effectively and coach effectively, and you want to be able to say something one time, your athletes do it, then speaking in a way that builds confidence where they don't tune you out because you're just talking to talk, because you're saying it out of the wrong tone or the wrong time. But those are skills you have to develop. You have to watch people's body language and watch them react to what you do. And then you have to follow up with people and ask the tough question. Hey, what was everyone thinking when I did this or when I said that? Hey, do you have any advice? Asking your athletes and your staff, any advice for me to get better? Like, that's a hard thing to take. But if you want to be respected and you want them to care about what you're saying and what you want them to do, like, that's important.
So I know we're going to be running short on time, and I want to get to this part of it because I think it's really interesting. You had talked about preparing for the next level. In all your preparations, you were preparing for a level that didn't even exist. You helped pave the the groundwork for the job you're in now. I know at the Olympic level, I think, they kind of dabbled with the mental performance first, but then it slowly trickled its way down. But you were preparing this whole time for something that may or may not ever happen, but it was making you a better coach. So when that pathway opened up where you could start developing these things and take it to the next level, how did that kind of work out for you?
You're talking about in the role that I'm in now?
Yeah, the athletic performance or mental performance, all around, let's call it athletic development, the full circle.
Full circle. So what I do now, so my title is Senior Director of Health and Performance. So sports science, mental performance, mental health, sports nutrition, sports performance, those are all the weight rooms, and then sports medicine and team physicians. Getting all of those professions and people to work together. If you've worked with athletes, you know that one of the things that kills the program is when they know the weight room and the training room and the the dietitian, the nutritionist are not talking and are not on the same page. You know that kills programs. We know strength and conditioning coaches, if you're not on the same page with your athletic trainer and an athlete doesn't goes to both of you and you're saying two different things, and that athlete knows that you're not on the same page, it translates to them that you don't care about them. And if you have enough of that going on in the program, then the athletes on the team develop this perception that they're not cared for, but yet you want them to go out and lay it on the line. Like, it doesn't work like that. Like, you have to be on the same page. And for me, we came up with three core values: care, communicate, collaborate. care about yourself, care about the people around you, care about your athletes, the program, care about as much as you can care about that matters. Communicate, verbal, body language, written. Work to be a better communicator every day. Constantly working on trying to be a better communicator at home, at work, everywhere. And then collaborate. Find ways where we can create win-wins. You talk about uh, that's where you pull from those business books, creating win-win situations. And if you can do that, you can collaborate. Like what do you need? How can I help you? Here's where I need help. If we work together on this, we might come up with something better than we could than just on our own. If you can find ways to have that vision and then put the steps and the people in place, then I think it's easier to do. It's not easy at all. It's not easy to get people to get out of their silos and work together and and get past their own egos and insecurities and be vulnerable to work with someone else and to listen and to not be defensive. Like none of and personality differences and experience level differences and none of that is easy to manage. It's not. But it's something that's worth pursuing. And for me, trying to produce champions, there is no option but to do it this way. And I use my experiences that I've had with, with successful NFL organizations, and when it was done from the owner to management to the staff, the players, I saw that when everyone was on the same page and committed to a goal, what I saw the results that resulted in going to a Super Bowl. Like for me, you're not going to convince me any other way that that's how it should be. To me, if you want to win championships, everybody's got to be on the same page, pulling in the same direction, caring about the other person, communicating back and forth, working together. There is no option.
So let's go back to the first part of that question. Always working on the next level. So you were working on the next level before the next level existed. What's your next level now?
I always feel like I'm chasing something that I'm never going to catch. So I don't know what the next level is. I'm just always trying to accomplish the next thing. So I don't know what it is. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know. All I know is to make everything come together takes everyday communication, everyday effort, everyday work, um, getting the right people in, keeping the right people, developing the right people, trusting the right people. Like every day, it is work. It is if you want to, just like in the weight room, you don't just get better because you walked in there. You had to do something. And if you're an administrator, you better communicate all day, every day. You better find the better way to communicate than you did yesterday. You got to follow up. You got to set guidelines. You got to set parameters. You got to encourage people, motivate. It's like it's nonstop. But it's the same thing when you were a strength coach. It's the same thing when I was a strength coach. I had to make sure that people were in the right position. I had to make sure that people had the right equipment, the right techniques, the right skills. It's the same thing. It's just now I'm dealing with people that have multiple degrees, certifications, licenses that are very intelligent, hardworking, that have really gotten to a place where they really dreamed about being. But now, how do I help them to knock down the obstacles, open doors, uh, take things off of their plates that take them away from the things that they love most. When I was coaching, the hardest part of my job was some of the administrative things. Now I'm an administrator, so I'm focused on making sure the coaches and my dietitians and athletic trainers have an advocate and a supporter that can help them deal with the stuff that's outside of what they really love doing. And for me, that's what motivates me every day is how can I make the people that are on the front lines make their jobs and their lives better. And it's a lot of work, but that's what I'm here for.
I'll hit you with this last one. This come from your book, The Table, which was a great book. I read through it just in a couple of nights. I mean, I just blew through it. It was really a good read. But in there, you talk about the law of the price tag, and that's kind of what you were alluding to there a little bit. It takes everyone. I'm going to summarize it a little bit, but it takes everyone every day. The price always increases, and it never goes on sale. How how do you figure out when the price is too steep?
Wow. Um, it's okay sometimes to admit when the price is too steep, and but that doesn't mean that you should stop pursuing something. You may have to retreat. You might have to adapt and adjust. You may have to recalibrate and say, okay, there's law of diminishing returns here, meaning I'm putting in more and I'm getting less out. And you have to come to a point where, for me, I use my counsel. I use the people that know me the best, and I've got 4 or 5 people that I can call that know me, that I can share this scenario with them. Okay, here's what I'm contemplating. Here's what where I need help making a decision or guidance. And I can share that with them and I can get valuable feedback. They're not going to tell me what I want to hear. They're going to tell me what I think I'm seeing and they're going to tell me what I can't see. And those are you have to have the right people around you that you can go to. Not a, I don't need people saying things to make me feel good. I don't need that. I need someone giving me a perspective like, hey, Pat, yeah, you're right about that. Or have you thought about this? Or you're missing something. And maybe if you look over here, you might find it. Like those are the types of people that I need and I have in my circle that can check me and help guide me and it keeps me moving on the right path. So I know, okay, is the price that I'm paying for this too high? You know, or am I getting a good value? And I think that the counsel is the way to go.
Well, Coach, this was everything I was hoping it would be. I appreciate all the time. I've been wanting to do it for a long time, and it worked itself out. So, thank you for sitting down and giving me your evening.
Coach, I appreciate the time. I appreciate your effort. This is not easy. What you're doing is not easy. I do it myself, and the hardest part is just getting schedules to align. And then there's the back end work. That's not as hard. But you're doing your thing. I appreciate you, and just want to keep encouraging you to make a difference because these conversations and proximity is how we help people to heal and get closer and make a difference in this world.
Well, everything you laid down, I definitely think paves a path for that. So, thank you. The book was amazing. I enjoyed all the stuff, all the research to get to this point. So, for you to sit down and give me some time, I'm truly thankful.
I appreciate you. You have a good night.
You too. Hey, Voodoo Power listeners. Thanks for watching and spending a little time listening to the coaches that we present on here. The channel has been growing because of community, and I really appreciate you being part of it. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button, leave a comment to let me know your thoughts, and share it with someone who might enjoy it. Those small things make a big difference in helping the channel reach more athletes and coaches. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing so you don't miss the next video. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you on the next one.